Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News channel. Now, I want to talk about a couple things that may completely change the world of crypto next year. Maybe not completely change, but will have dramatic effect. The first one is you're going to see traditional institutions and maybe even banks offer to buy out some crypto firms. And I'm looking at Coinbase right now. They just laid off 20% of their staff. That's a pretty big layoff. And their market cap is just going straight down the drain. Now, the mighty Jerome Powell says he's not going to relent, but it's all part of this evil plan for traditional finance to hijack crypto during this time. The longer this goes, the smaller the market cap will be for exchanges like Coinbase. Now, Binance is still expanding and hiring, so they can't buy out Binance, but Coinbase is entirely in the United States. They have less options to actually make money, and they might be in some financial straits, dire financial straits, sooner or later. I mean, you're talking about Coinbase not at like tens of billions of market cap, but possibly at $5 billion, $6 billion in market cap. And it wouldn't take much for Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, like JP Morgan to swoop in, offer $3 million for 60% of the company shares, and actually hostilely take over the company. Now, you would have to get investor agreement, but if they gave Coinbase a valuation, let's say 30, 40% above what it was, then it would be very, very difficult for Coinbase staff and Coinbase executives to actually refuse that offer because investors would actually revolt. And I think they're eyeing more things than Coinbase. So if you see a lot of overtures from banks like JP Morgan, Bank of USA to actually buy crypto companies like Coinbase and like other exchanges, you will know what's going on. And this whole rate hike is part of this evil plan for traditional finance to actually basically hijack and take over crypto once and for all, because they want control over it. They don't like this decentralization, but if they can control most of the supply, that will actually do them just fine, and they'll actually have control of the market for at least quite a while. Second thing is related to it, and the Ripple case we've been talking about, and expect an appeal no matter which side wins. Now, we want Ripple to actually win, because even if both sides appeal, you're still working on the assumption that the preliminary ruling actually holds. So if Ripple wins and the SEC appeals, the industry is going to work on the ruling that Ripple's going to win the case. Whereas if the SEC wins, the industry is going to work on the ruling that the SEC eventually is going to win. Because appeals don't generally work in this case. And the other thing is that if the SEC gets a preliminary judgment for it, then basically it's going to have a lot of bravado to keep suing other crypto projects. So basically, crypto will be under duress during the entire appeals process if Ripple loses, whereas crypto will have a sigh of relief if Ripple wins. But regardless, either side is going to actually appeal. And what would actually be just right for this evil plan is for the SEC to win the original injunction and then for the appeals court to overturn it, because I doubt the Supreme Court would actually hear this case. So the appeals court would actually stay. So that means Ripple and crypto would eventually win, but during that entire time, maybe a year or two in that process, then people would assume the SEC won. What that would do is delay real crypto regulations under a cloud of SECs going to win, which means the altcoin market will collapse even more, which means more Bitcoin dominance. And that makes it much easier for traditional finance to actually control the market if it's just mostly one coin rather than a lot of coins. Now, eventually, like traditional finance technology, they're going to want to take advantage of crypto. They're going to want to take advantage of this new financial system. So they'll eventually want looser regulations. But during those 2 years where they're basically seeping their hands into the industry, they don't want the industry to get too big and out of their control. So this all goes into their evil plan of taking over all or most of crypto by keeping the stuff that they can't control very low in value until they can actually control most of it. And you will see a scourging out of a lot of coins that are either crap coins and should die, or that coins that they find it hard to control, they will use the legal hammer against some of these coins. So the third thing is something that can work against all of this, and that is decentralization and DEXs, true DEXs, not just wannabe DEXs that are really God-keyed. but true DEXs. And I think they're going to be more and more popular, especially as big banks seize control on a lot of these centralized exchanges. I think Binance may remain really popular. They might eventually become a bank themselves, but DEXs are definitely going to become more and more popular as people want these big institutions to lay their hands off the cash and as people want to basically escape regulations. That's right. Escaping regulations is incredibly important for people, especially those who want to get away a little bit on their taxes. Now, I don't really ever advocate cheating on your taxes because the IRS eventually will catch you and you'll owe a lot of money and maybe even get thrown in jail. So I don't advocate that, but there's going to be a lot of people that actually move to these alternative means of trading. And there are people that already are. And of course, there's a bunch of these crypto exchanges that are actually collapsing. And people are seeing that they can't actually depend on these crypto exchanges. And DEXs, a lot of times you can self-custody while trading. It's going to make it very hard for the government to actually monitor these things and regulate these things. So the government will try to clamp down on DEXs, but they're going to discover that they really can't do that. So I do think DEXs will rise and counteract some of this evil plan for these big institutions to actually take over crypto. But that's what I expect to see over the next year. Essentially, I expect to see big institutions trying to overtake the crypto market, government going and playing along with regulations to help them take over the crypto market, especially Bitcoin, and then DEXs rising up and basically making some of the smaller coins more popular for them to actually not be able to take over the market so easily. Now, who is actually going to win this in the end? I have no idea who's going to win this in the end. I think like the government has a lot of power, but when people come together and when there's decentralized exchanges, that can only be taken down by VPNs, which will not actually be illegal in places like the United States and Europe. China may make it illegal, but that's just not going to fly in the United States. And plus, like the EU and Japan are not going to play by America's rules exactly when it comes to crypto. They're going to be a lot more lenient. So I'm not really sure who's going to win out. I actually think the decentralized aspect is actually going to win out as long as enough people rally to the cause and actually self-custody and exchange on DEXs. I'm hoping that's kind of what happens and the government eventually has to back off, but not before the corporate fat cats take over a good chunk of the crypto space. So let me know what you think of my analysis. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button, and I will see you guys later.